Hello and thanks for joining us for a late night newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. I'm Mark Broome. And we start with the historic diplomatic encounter that happened earlier today in Singapore. And it was all smiles and handshakes as the leaders of China and Taiwan met for the first time in 66 years. The summit between Chinese President Xi Jinping and Taiwanese President Ying-jeou has been several years in the making itself. At a press conference following the summit, President Xi said history would remember this day and that no force would separate them because they are brothers. Taiwan's leader said both sides should respect each other's values and way of life. The talks come amid rising anti-China sentiment on this self-ruled democratic island and weeks ahead of elections there. Prior to the talks, Chinese state media said the two leaders would exchange views on promoting the peaceful development of bilateral relations and discuss major issues in deepening cooperation. Most watchers say the summit is largely symbolic and no concrete agreements were reached. Staying with international news, exactly 1 week has passed since a Russian plane crashed in the Sinai Peninsula, killing all on board. Following on the heels of Britain and other European nations, Russia has halted flights to Egypt as reports continue to suggest that a bomb brought the plane down. Shin Se-min reports.
Vladimir Putin has suspended all Russian flights to Egypt as a security measure and instructed the government to secure the repatriation of all 45,000 Russian citizens in the North African country. Putin ordered the move on the recommendation of Moscow's intelligence chief.
Until we determine the exact causes of what happened, I believe it is reasonable to suspend flights of Russian aviation to Egypt, and it applies first to all of the touristic channel.
The suspension covers all parts of Egypt, a more sweeping halt than the one previously announced by Britain, which only grounded flights to the resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh. Putin's decision could have a disastrous effect on Egypt's economy, which is so heavily dependent on tourism. Roughly a third of tourists who travel to Egypt each year come from Russia. The new arrangements could also be a sign that Russia may be close to accepting the theory that Islamic State militants or an affiliate of IS planted a bomb on the plane in response to Russia wading into the Syria conflict 6 weeks ago. From the outset, IS has claimed responsibility for the crash. However, officially at least, the Kremlin continues to stress that it's too early to say for sure. A spokesman for the Kremlin says flights to Egypt will remain suspended until the required level of industry safety had been reached. He added that Russian authorities have been ordered to cooperate with Cairo in meeting the standards. More than 1 week has passed since the Metrojet plane was scattered across the Sinai, but the investigation is still ongoing. However, as the days tick by, it seems Moscow seems more open to the idea, first raised by Britain and the United States, that a bomb may have brought down the plane, killing all 224 passengers and crew. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Now, Korea and the European Union have agreed to deepen their strategic ties. The announcement came following talks in Luxembourg between Seoul's Foreign Minister Byungho and his EU counterpart Federica Mogherini. Both sides also stressed the need to work closely on pushing North Korea to abandon its nuclear ambitions and ensure Iran sticks to its commitment to denuclearize in exchange for sanctions relief. Now, Minister Yoon is in Tehran on this Saturday for talks with his Iranian counterpart Mohammad Javad Zarif. South Korea's top diplomat is also expected to meet Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. Korea's ruling party has welcomed the main opposition party's decision to end its boycott of parliament. The New Politics Alliance for Democracy refused to attend sessions from Tuesday through Friday in protest of the government's recent decision to reintroduce state-issued history textbooks into the nation's secondary schools from 2017. The ruling Senadu party said both parties should work together to improve the livelihoods of the people. It said lawmakers should concentrate on passing pending bills, especially those related to economic revitalization, labour reform and the Korea-China FTA, all of which are in urgent need of parliamentary approval. The NPADs says its lawmakers will resume their normal activities at the Assembly from Monday, but they have vowed to continue to push the government to drop its textbook plan. Now, Seoul's subway or metro system has been losing money consistently for years now, and generous fare exemptions, especially for the capital's growing elderly population, mean the deficit is only going one way. Ying-jeou has this report.
Every morning, Seoul subways are filled with commuters. But according to a report recently submitted to Parliament, losses across 7 of Seoul's 9 subway lines reached $372 million in 2014. And such losses are continuing. Line 3 suffered the greatest loss, accounting for 26% of the total. Next was Line 5 with 22%, followed by Line 6 with about 19%. Meanwhile, the only subway lines to generate profit last year were Lines 2 and 9. However, Line 9, recording only a small profit, does not consistently make gains. The Seoul Metropolitan Government's Transportation Policy Division says free transportation for the elderly, disabled, and others is the biggest factor for the subway's financial difficulties. This free riding contributes to about 68% of the total losses. And so, what may be the immediate solution? The two corporations managing the city subway system, Seoul Metro and Seoul Metropolitan Rapid Transit Corporation, are requesting the government to provide financial support for the losses stemming from the current policy.
Currently, for the subway operator, it costs 1,269 won per commuter. This is not enough. With this system, we will continue to generate a loss. And because fares cannot be simply raised, or alternatively have the elderly pay to cover the shortfall, the government has to step in and help.
The basic one-trip fare is 1,250 won, or $1.1. The burden is growing on the subway operator as it generates nothing from the free riding passengers. With the losses expected to continue perhaps for years, further discussions and measures will be needed to provide better services and facilities to the public. Ying-jeou, Arirang News.
Now, the president of Myanmar has insisted both the military and his government will accept the outcome of Sunday's historic election. Thein Sein says he will work with opposition parties to ensure a stable transition. If his party loses, the polls are expected to propel Aung San Suu Kyi's pro-democracy party to power after a decades-long struggle against the military. Sunday's vote will be the first democratic election in Myanmar since the 1960s. Full results are expected to take 2 weeks to come in. Now, another Korean baseball player could be about to head to the major league in the United States. The Seoul-based Nexon Heroes have accepted a $12.85 million bid to negotiate with power-hitting first baseman Park Byungho. It's not yet known which MLB team has made the winning bid. The team will have 30 days from Monday to reach an agreement with the 29-year-old. Park's posting fee is the second highest all-time for an Asian position player. The Internet of Things is technology that connects physical objects to the Internet so you can control them remotely. To help foster this technology in Korea, a local conglomerate recently opened a domestic IoT research centre. Won Ji-yeon has this report.
The moment you walk through the door, the lights and the TV automatically turn on. You can even feed the dog while you're out using a smartphone app. All of these amazing tasks were made possible through a growing technology called the Internet of Things. IoT allows you to remotely activate and use different types of appliances and technology through the Internet. But testing this technology could be a major hassle for many Korean firms.
Before commercializing any of our IoT products, we must get them certified at IoT testing centers. It's quite inconvenient because it requires traveling abroad.
And that's why Korea's third largest mobile carrier, LGU Plus, decided to step in. Recently, it invested more than $1.3 million to open a research center for IoT in the city of Daejeon. The center offers free research and testing for Korean SMEs to improve Korea's IoT sector.
IoT research and development can put a lot of financial burden on smaller firms because testing is expensive. We are now providing these tools for free to help mobilize IoT products and services in Korea.
LG said it will certify prototypes that meet the company's IoT standards. Its goal is to attract up to 500 local firms to use the center by 2020. Won Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
Now, finally, leaving you with a brief look at the weather here in Korea, and you're going to need to keep your umbrellas handy for the rest of the weekend, as we are going to see rain continue nationwide until Monday morning. Temperature-wise, it's going to be around the seasonal norms on Sunday. In the central region, the afternoon highs will be in the low to mid-teens. Further south, we might see temperatures surpass 20 degrees Celsius. With that, let's take a look at the weather around the world. Well, those are the stories we have for you at this hour. For more of the latest, don't forget to check out the website, arirang.com/news. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Goodbye.